Welcome to the EarthWorks podcast, where our team will share the jargon of carbon from many of our turf friends from the past 30 years.
Hello all and welcome to the EarthWorks podcast. I have the pleasure to be sitting in the office with Mr. Billy Bagwell at Callawassie Island. Billy, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really happy that you've come on the EarthWorks podcast. We've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, let's do it.
We're gonna have a nice chat. So let me kind of set the scene here. It is the very end of November, right after Thanksgiving. I was driving around this morning, had a couple of stops through quite a treacherous thunderstorm that came through.
Yeah, that was a weird one this morning. Kind of caught us all by surprise.
Yeah, it was like, I don't know, about 2 hours. I mean, there was a solid line of red and yellow coming across the radar, and you think you got somewhere around a quarter of an inch.
Yeah, we dodged the heavy rain, but I think we ended up with a quarter inch.
Yeah. So, I mean, that kind of just sets the stage for what we have to talk about, which there's kind of a theme to this discussion. You just completed a grow-in on 9 of your 27 holes.
That's correct.
So you opened them up for play. When was that?
November 5th? Yeah, November 5th.
Yeah,
we opened up.
About 3 weeks ago.
Yep.
Wow, excellent.
Yeah.
So we're going to get into that, but I also kind of want to introduce the listener to you. You've been here for how long?
Going on 16 years.
Wow,
Yeah.
and you're a young guy, Billy.
Yeah, it's an unusual roadmap, but I came here out of college at Clemson in 2007. I graduated and came here as the assistant superintendent and was the assistant for 3 years. And then my boss at the time moved on to a different club and under good circumstances and was fortunate enough to interview and get promoted to the superintendent job.
There you go, dude.
And been rocking it ever since.
And wow. So that was when, 2010?
2010 was when I took over as a superintendent. Yep.
Okay, great.
And then it's morphed over the years to now I'm the director of agronomy, and my job has grown from just me and over the golf course to maintaining the island as a whole and doing all the community maintenance and clubhouse grounds and river club grounds and road construction and all of those different facets.
I'm sure it seems pretty normal to you, but like you mentioned Callawassie Island. It's a whole community. Like it's kind of different. It's not just like a golf club. I mean, there's a lot of courses in this area that have this setup, but it's really unique around the country.
Yeah, it is. I mean, especially when you have to drive over a man-made causeway to get to the island.
Yes, it was wild.
Which is unique. It's kind of the best of both worlds. Of you don't have to take a ferry across that some people have to do, which I know the struggles are. So can be terrible.
What are some of the ferry courses?
Hague Point is one that's around here, right up the road here from us, and then Bald Head Island, I think, is in North Carolina. That has that, which I have a old assistant of mine that moved there. So it's I know the struggle is real for those guys sometimes to ride the boat every day. But
crazy.
But yeah, so we have a unique. We are a true island, but also we can drive to it.
Yes, yeah. So you come through the gate back on the mainland, and then you drive over this causeway, and now we're out on the island. So you say you're the director of agronomy for Callawassie Island. You mentioned you have a landscape crew that takes care of people's homes, or
we don't do home landscaping, but all the common areas along roadsides, all of the community amenity structures, tennis, pickleball, pools. Clubhouse grounds. We have 2 clubhouses. The one that we call the River Club is down on the river, on the Colleton River, and has 2 docks. We have a kayak dock that we maintain. So it's a lot of infrastructure type stuff.
2 clubhouses. How does that work? Is it one for certain things, one for the other? Or?
Yeah. So the main clubhouse is exactly that, just where the golf shop is,
right,
and the main dining and all of those things, and where the big events are. But then our River Club is essentially just a smaller version of that, but it's just a restaurant with a bar and a pool, and that's kind of where the more informal things go on. Whereas the kids are at the pool, walk inside, get a cheeseburger, they have a pizza oven, just those type more of a relaxed atmosphere down on the river versus the formal situation of the clubhouse.
Is everyone that has a home here, are they all members?
Yes, you have to be a property owner to be a member, and then we only open up to a very select few of associate members.
Okay.
Meaning they can enjoy the amenities, but they're not a full owner.
Sure. So couple off-island members, but mainly you know the golfers here live here.
That's right.
Oh, that's really cool. Okay, so let's kind of get more into it. You are the recent past president of the Carolinas GCSA, which is a big association.
Yeah, we're the largest regional association in the United States outside of GCSAA.
Right.
And the membership is made up of both North and South Carolina superintendents.
How many different chapters are within the Carolinas?
Put me on the spot. I think we have 13 locals.
Wow.
I could be
No, I think
on that, but I think that's right.
Yeah, I know it's a lot.
Yep. But we have we cover up both North and South Carolina, but I think we do a good job of keeping it a tight knit group, almost a brotherhood of, and we actually just got back from the beach was what way we describe it but our regional show, conference and show that we just had in Myrtle Beach a couple weeks ago. Yeah,
one of the best out there, really.
Yeah, it's a big one, and we take a lot of pride in it, and we're very proud of it. It is the largest regional show in the country. But also, too, we are excited that we just had our most successful regional show as far as attendance goes.
Oh, get out of here.
In history. So
Carolina's 2022 most successful as far as attendance. Oh, excellent, man. That's really great news.
Yep.
Yes, and you were the president.
I know. Yeah, I take no credit on that.
Right.
I pass all that to Tim Krieger, and
he's the executive director.
Tim's our executive director, and his staff up at Liberty and the headquarters there, and then obviously with the support of our entire board of directors, and just the membership as a whole. I mean, they support it, and then equally as important as the membership, it is our vendors that we have in the Carolinas. EarthWorks being one of those that works through Vereen's, and they're a huge supporter of the Carolinas. And we, again, like we said, it's like a brotherhood that we can't do it without our vendors, and vendors we can't do it without our membership either. So it's a good ebb and flow and works really well with both parties. Oh,
that's great, man. Yeah, I really appreciate you saying that. I mean, it's really cool. Now, it's a lot of work, I imagine. Do you guys have, how does the greater association work? How do meetings work? Do you guys get together?
Yeah, so we have, throughout the year, we have kind of our regional larger meetings, and then the local chapters have their kind of smaller versions of those throughout the year. But
how many regional golf events do you have?
We typically do 4.
Okay.
But it kind of depends on the year too. And we also kind of do things together with like one of our regional ones is the USGA meeting that we do in conjunction with the USGA. That they kind of run the meeting itself, but we bring together and have a larger kind of.
Is that education plus golf?
Usually they come with both education and golf. Our assistants meeting in the wintertime is that, and it helps to our assistant. We have the golf tournament part of the assistants meeting where the education is geared more towards the assistant superintendent, and then the golf tournament identifies the best assistant superintendent golfer in the Carolinas, who then is placed on our Verlina Cup team, which is a big tournament.
I hear about that in Virginia as well. Yeah. So, that's good. Has there been a winner of the Greater Carolinas golf tournament yet, or did that close up at the show?
They did. Yeah. The golf tournament sponsored with help with STI and Toro. They did that. I don't know who the winner was.
Sure.
But yes, we did have that.
All right. Yeah, it's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
It's all good stuff.
It's a lot of good stuff.
So you were the president of the Carolinas this past year, and I'm sure you were on the executive board leading up to that.
Yeah, I've been on the board for I guess it's 7-8 years.
Yeah, and you're probably on this year as a past president.
And then I'll be on as the immediate past president for one more year, and then I'll roll off and into the sunset.
Hardly, dude. You're quite busy here, and that's what I want to get into.
Yeah.
You've got 27 holes. What are you mentioned magnolia? What else?
Yeah, magnolia, palmetto, and dogwood are the 3 nines.
Okay.
Names.
Okay, so and on magnolia, you just did a regrass tee to green.
Yeah, I mean it was a full blow up. Not only just grassing, but a lot of earth shaping, new bunkers, and then a big part of it was a drainage project, and we installed, I think, just over 100,000 of 2-inch pipe, XGD pipe, throughout the golf course.
So, what did you? How many square feet of drainage?
Yeah,
did
so
you,
we did
linear feet.
Yeah, we started the project with the goal of improving our overall drainage of the golf course. That was a big driving force. So we installed 100,000 linear feet of 2-inch XGD drainage pipe.
Wow. Every 6 feet?
Yeah, so depending on the area, on T-tops, we did every 6 to 8 feet spacing. The fairways were on 10-foot spacing, and then the approaches were 6-foot spacing.
Excellent.
So trying to just get that, those playable areas to remain as dry and firm as we can. And then we also did a lot of walk-up areas to tee boxes, and also drive on and off ramps, if you want to call them that.
Sure.
Through the rough.
Now, I mean, let's talk about the soil type, because you obviously got a huge insight into it. You were cutting into it, and one would think island could be very sandy, but not necessarily.
Yeah, it's interesting. We've always called it the low country
pluff mud is
like muck.
Yeah,
it's just a muck soil. But it's a heavier soil. We have pockets of more sandy soil, but we don't have any on this island in particular. We don't have any like pure sand. There are areas in this region that are like that.
They call it sugar sand.
Yeah, but we're more of a heavier soil, but it performs really well. The problem with it was when the ground gets saturated, it stays saturated, and it's really hard to get it to move laterally once it's at field capacity.
Yes.
So that's where XGD came in by having, closer spacing drainage lines that are backfilled with sand to get that water to move a small distance from between pipe to pipe and then into a larger pipe down the line somewhere and then off the property was the goal. And we're so far we're very happy with how it's worked.
Yeah, well, let's talk about where does the water go? Is it headed to an irrigation pond? Is it?
Yeah. So another unique feature, maybe not unique, but I think a neat feature is all of our golf course drainage goes to retention ponds.
Excellent.
And the retention ponds were built as water features for the golf course, but mainly as storm water runoff collection sites. One, to keep being that we're an island, we here at Callawassie are very environmentally friendly. As much as we can, being surrounded by a lot of marsh lines. And wanted to do our best to be cognizant of that. So all of our water runoff goes into the ponds, and then the ponds are then connected with each other throughout the property, leading back to where our pump station is, so we can use that water as irrigation water. And then if and when we get heavy rain events and the ponds need to drain, we have overflow structures that allow that water to run off.
Are you tidal in this water around here?
The retention ponds are not tidal, obviously,
yes.
But obviously the surrounding marshland is very much tidal. It goes up and down by almost 10 feet.
Wow, excellent. Yeah. So if you do have to outlet your retention ponds, you are kind of thinking about it with the tides. Maybe you're thinking about that in hurricane season.
Yeah, for sure. And we have weir gate structures on the island that prevent water from coming back into the ponds during higher tide tip situations or storm surge situations. But then also during rainwater, when we want to hold rainwater, we can close those gates and hold it, versus if we get too much, we can open it and let it go.
Yeah, very cool, man. I mean, it is environmentally sound.
Yeah.
Like you guys are really on top of it. Water quality, it sounds like it could be pretty good.
Yeah, it's actually very good.
Yeah.
Not having to rely on effluent water or
a well that could be salty.
Right, exactly. So, and we do have wells that we can use if needed, if we get to a droughty situation. But it's, heck, we just went through a grow-in where I probably used the most water that I've ever used.
Sure.
And we only turned the wells on, I think, one time.
How about that?
So,
Yeah.
but again, that's timely with rainfall. But
Yeah, and you did have a fairly wet season down here.
it
I
was,
think.
yeah, it was really actually unusual. We had 20 inches of rain in the month of the second half of August, first half of September.
Wow.
Yeah, it was mind-boggling.
Well, let's talk about that and how that relates to your year of growing. Like how so you started bulldozers came out in April.
Yeah, we started the project in April. We didn't put any grass on the ground till the 1st of June, and we sodded the rough.
Did you have to spray? Being that you were clearing everything, did you have to spray out? Did you spray out last fall?
Yeah, no, we waited till spring.
Okay.
We got into March, and as the growing conditions started to be more favorable,
right,
we enhanced that with some fertilizer.
Yeah, so you got some green tissue.
Got some green tissue, and then non-selectively removed that with a few applications of a concoction, and then we between the second and third application, we phrase mowed the dead tissue off the property, and then tilled the soil.
Awesome.
And removed any of the spoils that were organic matter or thatch or whatever that was left, and then re-prepped the soil, applied the third application, and then either sodded or sprigged, depending on what location of the golf course.
And at what point did the XGD come in?
So it was kind of it changed from hole to hole depending on where the process was.
Right.
But the majority of the XGD was installed prior to the phrase mowing.
Got it.
So they installed those sand channels and drain pipe, and then they phrase mowed that top 2 inches of dead material off, and then worked that soil, and then it was ready to be planted.
Right, and I mean, let's talking drainage. We can put some numbers to it. You and I cruised around this morning, and you were putting the moisture meter down in the ground, and on the sand constructed T-tops. And we just said you got a big rain event this morning. You were down at, I think it was like 14% moisture or 15% moisture, kind of where you'd want to be. If things were firm. We stepped into the native soil that does have drainage. Right, but and again, you got a quarter inch of rain in about an hour. You were up at like 20 points higher than that, middle 45s. However, it wasn't mucky.
Right. Yeah, and that's what we've seen so far with it is the ability to get, kind of the goal was obviously to provide a firm surface for play, but also with the membership that we have, being able to keep them on the fairways with their golf carts as much as possible.
There you go.
Back to what I said earlier with our mucky soil, especially in the wintertime, we would go, historically, there's times where we can go weeks where we're cart path only, because once it reaches that field capacity in a wet winter, it just stays and you can't get off the path. So we're seeing so far, a few months into this, that we're going to drastically reduce the amount of cart path only days that we have, while improving the playability of the game of golf as well.
So the two key important things for membership, and that's what we're here for, right? You're trying to make this nice for the members. So A, they can drive, and B, the game plays better.
That's right.
It's wonderful.
Yeah. And then the thing I love right now is being that it's brand new, and you obviously is with new grass, and especially on sprigged new grass, you're firm. And
it's huge.
The membership, I think the biggest compliment that I've received so far through the first 3 weeks of being open is how much further they can hit their drives. Because the ball's bouncing rather than hitting and stopping like it did before.
I mean, and let's continue in the conversation into greens. That was the number one thing I felt walking out there was, oh my God, you stepped on the green, and it was. You had wonderful stand density. I mean, those greens were dense. However, they were as firm as could be.
Yep. Yeah, and we're going to do our best to keep them that way for as long as we can.
Yeah.
But it's kudos to my team for their effort. But I think we went into it with a good plan, and we executed the plan, and it's working. And we're happy where we are. As always, there's always things you can nitpick and things that we can continue to get better at. But the overall taking a 50-acre golf course, 9-hole golf course, and taking it completely to the dirt, wall to wall, OB to OB, and putting it all back together while also maintaining 18 holes being open is pretty remarkable. And that's where I'm fortunate to have the team that I have that's helped us to get to this point.
Yeah. I mean, I want to still talk greenkeeping, but let's also throw in the other monkey wrench that happened this year on top of all this. Like you're saying, you're maintaining 18 holes for play. You're growing in 50 acres of brand new. And in what month was it? April?
February.
Earlier. Yeah. You had a shop fire.
Yeah. So, I got elected president in November of 21. And that was all going great.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're excited. April 1st, those are showing up, and we're starting this project we've been working on for the last 10 years, really, with the master planning and everything. And then we lose 90% of the equipment fleet in a shop fire at 10 o'clock on a Tuesday night or whatever it was.
Normal night in February.
Yeah.
And so when did you become aware of it? When you got to work that morning? Or?
No, I got a phone call from security at, I want to say it was 9 p.m. I think.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, there's a fire at the shop. 911 has already been called. The fire department's on the way. Okay, great. I'm coming. And in my head, I'm not thinking total loss. I'm just thinking that
there's a fire.
Right. And then I arrived to the entire building's gone, along with every piece of equipment in it.
Oh my gosh. Now, it wasn't where we're sitting here today. This is the office.
No, thankfully the fire department got here in time to protect the office.
Yeah, because this would have gone. It's close enough.
Yeah, it's under the same roof line, and it was coming this way.
Mm-hmm.
And they got here and were able to get hoses on this corner here behind us and protected the office and break room area, as well as my mechanic shop is a standalone building across the courtyard from where the equipment was parked. That was where the fire was, and they got hoses on that area too to protect that. So, if you're gonna have a fire,
mm-hmm.
never fun and by any means, but protecting and saving the place that we call home.
That's
and
right.
Having where the crew can go every day and enjoy lunch and have an office and all of those things is important. And more so than equipment, I think, as far as crew morale and whatever. So
you nailed it.
So that was a blessing. And then obviously my equipment manager's shop is you can have all the equipment in the world, but without anything to maintain it, you're up the creek without a paddle. So
because both of these buildings are home,
That's right.
This is the crew's home while they're at work, and that's your equipment manager's home.
Exactly.
That's his office.
Yeah. So it was devastating, no doubt about it. But the
timing could not have been worse.
Yeah, and then so you're, looking back on it, it's definitely not something that you would ever wish. But I almost think that because we're only having to maintain 18 holes in a day-to-day practice, having less equipment because of what we were able to get from neighbors and loaner equipment and whatever, it actually made it somewhat easier to do because we didn't, instead of needing 3 triplexes to mow tees, we could get it away with 1, maybe 2, because we only had 18 holes to mow versus 27.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And then also because of just our club in general, when we're 27 holes, we do a lot of shotguns for men's day and ladies' day. So we'd have to have 27 holes of golf ready by 9:30 in the morning, and being 18 holes, we were just tee times. So
wow, great.
Not needing all of the equipment that we had was somewhat of a blessing in disguise to have the renovation going on, but at the same time we had no equipment to do anything. So,
yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah. Well, it is a blessing. Like you're right. You had 9 extra holes that you didn't have to maintain.
That's right. Yeah.
Now, because there was an outside construction company that was in here as well,
yes.
I imagine.
Yeah, so TDI was our contractor, and they came in, and obviously they had all the equipment to do the renovation work, but we didn't have a weed eater, much less a fairway mower.
Oh, that's insane. Yeah. And you mentioned, and I remember there was a lot of local superintendents and vendors that came.
Yeah, I mean it's again back to the brotherhood that we talked about.
It's a wonderful thing.
It's Spring Island and Chessie Creek are here, both really close to us, within driving distance with a cart close, and they were big, along with several other golf courses in the area to allow us to borrow equipment, that some of which I still have. I mean, like I have a Pro Gator out here that Spring Island has let us have since the fire.
Yeah, wonderful.
And then all the vendors, John Deere, Jacobson, Toro, have all pitched in and helped out, and just a huge outpouring of support, which was awesome.
You guys have a great brotherhood here.
Yeah.
It's really a nice thing. So let's get back into turf. We're talking new grass. You have different turf types out there. Your tees and tee surrounds are all zoysia grass, right?
Zoysia, yeah, Xeon zoysia.
And you sodded those.
We sodded those areas. Mainly, we wanted to enhance the teen surface from what we had in the past, and with our kind of experimentation and messing around with things over the years, we felt that the Xeon would provide that. But the risk of having a Xeon T-top and then Bermuda surrounds is obviously the encroachment and
you were going to
battling two grasses and all that stuff. So we made the decision. Also, too, with the amount of shade that we battle, trees are important to us here.
Yeah, because you have a community around you.
Yeah, exactly. And we're surrounded by these large live oaks and big pine trees and whatever. So it's part of the golf course. And so with the tee complexes being more shaded than you would like for growth of Bermuda grass, it kind of helped having the entire tee complex be one species of grass, and we chose the Xeon to do that.
Cool. Any insight on Xeon? Like, how did it root? How is it recovering divots now? This time of year, you're starting to get some play.
Sure. Yeah. Well, that was a concern. Obviously, because Xeon or zoysia in general just obviously recovers much slower than Bermuda. But with the project, the tees were completely rebuilt, and we doubled our size of our teeing ground to give us more flexibility with being able to move markers around, and then also obviously to spread the wear out as well.
Yeah.
As far as recovery goes, it's still, I think, too early to tell, because as we opened, we were going into the dormancy season.
Sure. But by the way, they're not dormant.
But they're not.
Right?
They're definitely not dormant.
Yeah,
but they're not growing sideways as much as they will when it comes summertime. But the teen ground is so large that I don't think we'll have a problem with that.
How big is the teen ground for 9 holes? Maybe where'd you start and what do you have now?
Yeah, I think we were at like an acre, just over an acre and a half.
Okay.
And now we're like 2.5 acres. I mean, it was like double.
Oh yeah.
So
it's huge.
It's and then we also squared all the tees off too, so we can capture more square footage.
Actually use the square footage that you have.
Exactly. Yep.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
Okay, so let's see. The other thing that happened on greens, the other big takeaway as I was stepping out there was I mentioned the firmness, but then next the height between collar and surround and the green surface, like it's very even. That was something that you went after as well. You were trying to like every green, you get like collar dams, bird baths, that sort of thing. And yeah, you've really cleaned that up.
Yeah, the transition from green and putting surface to the surrounds was important, and for 2 reasons. Obviously, for the surface water runoff off the greens, it's important to have.
Okay.
So from an agronomic standpoint, you got to get that water off
and hit the XGD,
exactly.
Hit the drainage that we've put in.
And but also too, the greens, the playability and the bringing in the ground game around the greens was an important part for us for the better playability. For the membership. So, the greens are USGA spec. They were built to brand new USGA spec in 2008.
Yes.
And so we didn't have to rebuild the putting surfaces.
Right.
So we just stripped the top 5 inches, got off the organic matter that had built up over the last 15 years, and then we had to incorporate 2 inches of fresh mix to get back to 12.
And you said that it was as night and day. You could see it as clear as a bell.
Yeah,
there was no question where you had to go, how deep you had to go.
Correct.
5 inches got you to clean
mix. Yep. So once we did that, and then with the bunker renovation part of the equation, we went from over 200,000 square feet of sand to like like 75. I can't remember exactly, but
Wow.
we drastically reduced the square footage of our sand as well. But so a lot of where bunkers used to be around our greens had to be reshaped. So and then getting everything to tie in to get those tie-ins that we're talking about to be transitioned correctly. There's a lot of dozer work around the greens to get them to tie into the putting surfaces. So a lot of effort was placed there, and then once we got that done, we capped the approach areas with some fresh greens mix, put in the XGD, and now we have an area that you can be 15, 20 yards off the green, and you can putt it.
You could putt
if you
sure.
want.
Yeah, that's so cool. And play the bump and run, do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned 5 inches out, another 2 inches back in got you to the 12-inch root zone mix.
Yep.
It was in those 2 inches where you used, and you're an experienced EarthWorks user, but it was in those 2 inches where you used some of the EarthWorks amendments for growing.
Yep.
Renovate Plus, Ecolite, and then right at the interface of the Myco, or right at the interface of the sprigs, you use the Myco.
Myco, that's right.
Yeah, wonderful.
And the grow, we followed the grow in program that EarthWorks provides.
That's right.
We modified it a little bit with your help, and because it wasn't a full brand new spec green, but it, even though it kind of ended up being that,
right.
But we did modify the rates a little bit, but no, it was that program, and we were very happy with the success that we've had.
Yeah, you're pleased. So you were pleased with the speed at which it was growing in. You, I don't know. Did you have some assurance? Like, were you seeing progress quickly?
Yeah. So, being that this is my second grow in here,
right.
Yeah, so I like we said, we built the greens in 2008.
And you were here for a year.
And I had just gotten here. I was the assistant, but I had done grow in internship when I was at Clemson. So
where was that, by the way?
I worked for a construction company. Actually.
Oh, cool.
I did it from the other side, and we were Frontier Golf was the name of the company, and they did the renovation at the river course at Callawassie Island.
Oh, excellent!
And it was a new greens, new fairways.
What great experience to have so young.
It was incredible, and it's really set me up for what this project was because
you sit in front of a greens committee and say, and with that experience, you feel much more confident.
Yeah. Absolutely. But so I didn't necessarily do the grow in at Kiowa, but I at least saw the process, and then coming here in 2008 did the grow in,
right?
And then doing this grow in this year, and seeing the amount of inputs that we didn't have to do this time that we did in 2008. Because, and I will say this with full confidence, because of the EarthWorks products.
Wow, excellent.
Is what, which is why I'll continue to do it.
Oh, that's great news, man. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yeah. So, and by input, you mean kind of just fertility?
Yeah, fertility. Well, I think, just the EarthWorks products kind of incorporate so much in themselves that you don't have to break it all out.
Right,
so you don't have to go out and put out magnesium by itself. You don't have to put out calcium by itself. You don't have to put out this by itself. So we were able to kind of start and fill the tank up with the products, the EarthWorks products, sprig, and then just use the necessary fertility to get the grass to fill in.
And which again wasn't that much. Yeah. Well, that's cool. And how about and you had good moisture, you had good water this year. So things worked out very well. You also mentioned very wisely that now that you all have fully grown in, you're pulling samples again and checking to see where you're at.
Yeah,
on those
we actually
levels.
just pulled and sent samples off recently to now that we've kind of turned off the faucet from weekly or every other week type of applications. And getting into more maintenance mode. Where do we stand?
That's right.
And then what do we need to continue to work on through the winter months and then going into springtime?
Right. So let's see. Now next year, what 9 are you working on?
Yeah, so we'll move to dogwood next year, and just basically rinse and repeat. This is the exact same process.
Anything unique? Any other unique challenges that you might find on a different 9?
Well, so the biggest challenge will for sure be access. That 9 is harder to get to. From main roads.
Sure.
And then also, this year we rebuilt the practice facility
Right.
as well as the Magnolia 9. So we use the clubhouse parking lot for storage for sand and mix and gravel, and
that's not an option now.
We don't have that anymore.
Yeah.
So where do we put
All that
10,000 tons of sand is going to be a unique challenge. But we have some ideas, and we'll be able to get it done. But that'll be I think the biggest change. But as far as the processes go and the way we go about doing it, we don't foresee, as far as in planning wise go, making any big changes. Obviously weather dictates a lot of things as you go through it, but it's nice that we didn't go, oh wow, we'll never do that again, because that didn't work. I think the process and the plan that we had and we implemented worked really well, and we can do it again.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's see. This will be the only year, I guess, where the membership is going to play 9 of an old grass and 9 of a new grass.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And so that'll be interesting. They'll
Yep.
see what that's like.
Yeah.
It'll sell the project.
Yeah. Well, I was getting ready to say it has already.
Yeah.
We've only been open 3 weeks, and we've had some rain, so we've had days where it's cart path only on Palmetto and Dogwood, but you're good to go on Mag, or the greens are firmer, so that you got to play your shots differently. And then back to what I said earlier of the fairways, it's dramatically different.
Yes.
And I mean, if you hit your ball 200 off the tee on Palmetto, you're hitting it 250 off of Magnolia.
It's wonderful.
It is really that big of a difference. And it's actually fun to watch too.
Yeah. One last thing to mention that was different, and I keep coming back to this cool morning that we've had with the rainstorm that came through, and we're talking about crew morale. No washouts on your new bunkers.
No,
yeah, that's huge.
Better Billy bunkers have been a long time coming for us.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because it's a Tom Fazio designed golf course with big high flash face bunkers, and they were built in the early 2000s. I think was the last time they were renovated, and they were just the old sand trapper mat system, but more importantly, they were the way that they were built and designed, because that's just how they did it. But water drained into the bunkers.
Yeah. And wow.
So not only are you having the washout from just the rain hitting the bunker, but you're having channels of water running down into them, and the washouts was just extraordinary. I mean, we spent hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of man hours repairing bunker washouts after rain events in an area where it rains a lot.
Yeah, budget dollars, man.
So we have. Yeah, we're excited about not having to do that anymore.
Definitely, and everybody's excited, right? The crew's excited, the players are excited, everyone's excited about that. Well, that's huge. Yeah, that's a classic example of it sounds good on paper to an engineer to move all the water into a sand trap, but for maintenance, it's awful.
It didn't work.
Yeah.
So less sand that doesn't wash out equals.
Yeah, better for everybody. Better for everybody. Well, that's cool. All right, man, dude, this was a really informative talk, Bill. Thank you. So all the best through the winter, and with the project next year, we're going to be hearing more about the exciting stuff at Callawassie Island, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. This was been fun.
Okay, good deal. Well, thanks so much. Everybody, thank you for listening to the EarthWorks podcast. Don't forget to check out the 2-Minute Turf Talk series, and maybe we're going to be able to get a 2-minute turf talk out of this conversation, kind of learn more about greenkeeping. So thanks all.